And now, when you update your profile on the social networking sites such as Facebook, are you helping thieves empty your bank account, or are you ruining your own credit? A Baltimore teenager learned the hard way about some of the new ways private information can actually be used against you online. Here's what happened to him. Lisa Lockwood knew about her 17-year-old son's Facebook page, but didn't know about the computer games featured on the site he was downloading and playing, until she got a disturbing phone call.
I received a phone call from Heritage Subaru Volkswagen about my son's credit application for a vehicle. And I spoke to the gentleman and I said, my son hasn't filled out any credit applications. I don't know what you're talking about, and he's underage.
Turns out one of the games her son was playing offered extra points in exchange for filling out a car loan application, an application that asked for a Social Security number. He provided the highly personal information, filling out a total of 7 loan applications, a decision he now finds so embarrassing he wouldn't go on camera with us.
My son's been kind of upset about it. He was invited to play this game from some of his school friends. I assume that they have all done the same thing as well. And I think he's a bit embarrassed about it that I caught him doing this.
Facebook allows games to be downloaded from their site, but they must first be approved and meet their guidelines.
Filling out credit applications is not a game. You shouldn't be getting points for filling out a credit application. It's not for children. I'm very surprised that Facebook has it out there, and I really would like them to take it off.
In a statement, Facebook told Good Morning America, the collection of personally identifiable information from Facebook users is strictly controlled and limited by our developer terms of service. They're currently investigating this incident, but Lisa believes the games don't belong on Facebook in the first place and fears her son could become a victim of identity theft through the remaining 6 loan applications still floating around in cyberspace.
Parents need to talk to their children and tell them not to put out information, personal information on the internet.
So what scams are out there, and how do you protect yourself and your family? Well, to give us some guidance, we're joined by Perry Aftab, an internet privacy and security lawyer, and she has some great pointers for us, as always. Hi, Perry. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Now, for this boy, putting his Social Security number online led to a lot of problems. Anytime I see someone asking online or elsewhere for my Social Security number, it's a red flag. Should it be?
It is, but when you're involved in playing games, you're not thinking about the risks, you're thinking about the games. So it's the old don't take candy from strangers. When the game's asking you for information, you don't think before you click.
And personal information, what other kinds of personal things? Because it's not just SS numbers, it's like birthdays and things, right?
Birthdays, where you're working, you may have a picture that can say 1,000 words. It may show where you're working or where you live. It may have your address behind you. And you start coupling that with Google Maps and satellite feeds. Everyone can find out everything.
Now, we're looking at a photo here of a fake space for MySpace. A lot of kids, though, share all kinds of information. And you see on this shirt here, for instance, where this girl works, Pizza Hut. You don't want to share those kinds of things, right?
You really don't. In fact, there was something we did in Maryland with some students where they tracked down another student based upon where she worked to show her how scary that can be. So you might have a picture that shows where you work and you start coupling it with where you live. They can find you after hours.
And many of these teens start talking about where they're going, maybe giving information about their whereabouts?
Absolutely. Where they're going to be, where they were, and something that'll track when you're online and when you're not. They may find out when you're on vacation and when you're away. And a lot of kids leave away messages that let you know that they're going to be on vacation for a week. So if you want to break into somebody's house, it's a good time to do it.
Right. Now, we're not just talking about online, too, though, because there are lots of things offline.
Well, this was offline. It grabbed the Social Security number online and used it offline to steal his ID. So you need to make sure that you go to the ftc.gov site. You can post a fraud alert on all of the credit reporting agencies. And if parents are receiving credit applications for their 4-year-olds, don't laugh. Recognize that somebody has that Social Security number that you got your kids when they were born.
You know, that's funny because my 9-year-old daughter actually got a phone call from a credit card company, and we sort of did laugh. Maybe we should look into that.
Look into it. Check your credit report. You can do it for free, and make sure you do a fraud alert and teach your kids that whatever they're sharing online can be dangerous.
Any way to limit who can actually see this information?
Absolutely. And we talked about Facebook's comment here. Facebook has a great privacy setting there, and you can go to facebook.com/privacy, decide who can see and what they can see. But recognize third-party applications like games are not really controlled by Facebook. They're by somebody else that you can use on Facebook.
Right, so it's not always fun and games. You need to be a little bit careful out there.
Exactly.
Well, Perry Aftab, it's always great to have you here. Some really good advice, especially in this cyber world that so many of our kids are taking for granted these days.
It is. It's an amazing place.
Great to see you. Thank you so much. A pleasure to get your advice.
So here's the question. How can you tell when online social networking becomes an addiction? Facebook has 350 million users, and the average person spends about an hour a day on the site. But some teenagers are spending a lot more time than that keeping tabs on their friends. And now some of these Facebook junkies are trying to kick their addiction. For Michigan 10th grader Nika Selmasi, chatting and messaging with her friends on Facebook had become a huge problem.
It's like an addiction. You look up one moment and it's day, and you look up another moment and it's night.
In the beginning, she says, she'd be online for as little as 20 minutes a day, but then those minutes grew into a couple of hours on weekdays and sometimes as long as 6 hours on the weekends.
She wasn't doing any other task, like her room was really messy, and then couple times actually we fight over it, and we usually don't fight that much.
Nika's grades were going down. Her mom was worried. The obsession to constantly check Facebook was disrupting her life. In California, best friends Monica Reed and Hallie Lamberson quickly realized that they too were wasting too much time on Facebook.
The amount of time was just unnecessary. We thought that the time we saved could be used for more productive things.
These two, like so many teenagers in this country, were struggling to find a balance between social media and their everyday lives.
For a teenager, it doesn't make sense to think of my life and then I get distracted by social media. We're not going to be taking away the internet. It's more a question of living with these devices that so compel us in a way that serves our human purposes.
So, in order to put Facebook in its proper place, Nika took action. She asked her sister to change her Facebook password on Monday morning and keep it hidden until Friday night.
It's kind of hard for me to admit that it was hard. My friends, some of them said, I don't know how you can do it. My studying habits definitely improved.
Monica and Hallie decided to limit their use to one Saturday a month.
The original consequence was that if you broke the rules and you went on before the first Saturday of every month, you would have to write on the wall of someone you didn't know very well.
People take breaks, people drop in and out. We're all learning, parents and children, how to do this better.
As we said, a very modern problem. Joining me now, internet safety expert Perry Aftab of WiredSafety.org. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ken.
So, almost every teenager in this country is on Facebook. How do you tell if it's risen to the level of addiction?
Well, 97% of the teens we polled are actually on Facebook, so they're all there. And when things rise to the level of addiction, things are out of balance. Grades are going down. They don't have offline friends. They're not doing things offline. They're all consumed about the internet and, in this case, Facebook.
So is there a way that a parent can monitor what their kid is doing online?
Absolutely. First, you have to have the talk. There's a certain place and time. You have to have your homework done. You have to make your bed, whatever. And then you can go on and look at their page. How often are they posting? How often are their friends? And if it gets really bad, you can use monitoring software, and you put it on their computer, and as long as they're accessing Facebook from their computer and not their cell phone or another device, you can see how often they're on there, and you can even lock them out for more than 2 hours a day.
Are there other options other than locking kids out? If you feel like your child is addicted, whatever that means, what do you do?
Well, you have to determine whether they like it a lot, they're obsessed, or they really are addicted. And if they're addicted, they are at risk in other areas of their lives. And that means you have to turn it off. And the only way to make sure you do that is you keep their cell phones in your bedroom drawer when they're home, and you make sure that their internet access is guided and in some cases monitored using technology.
What is it about these sites, particularly Facebook, that is so addictive for teenagers?
Well, the kids don't see it as a site, they see it as life. And it's where everybody they want to know and everybody everybody who knows them and everybody who is everybody is. So you're either an exhibitionist or you're a voyeur, or you want everyone to know the newest dress you like, the last boy you liked, the next girl you want to like. You break up and your status changes. That's how they live. And what we need to do is find balance. It's all about balance.
So interesting that you just said they don't see it as a site, they see it as life. What do you think of the idea of taking a break? We saw a very high-profile case of this with Miley Cyrus, who said that she was taking a hiatus from Twitter. And then we just saw these young girls in the piece that we just aired who are taking a break. Does that seem like a viable solution to you?
Well, I'm not sure how viable it is. They just need to let their friends know that they're going to have to call them on the cell phone. But on 17 Magazine's poll, which they did in October, 38% of their readers said that they wished that social networking technology didn't exist at all. I think our kids are being overwhelmed, and what we need to do is make sure that their fingers play the piano and play a baseball, and in addition to moving the mouse around.
And if kids do take a break like this, it is encouraging, I would imagine, that they are taking the initiative on their own rather than having it imposed by their parents.
Yeah, we're seeing a big backlash. A lot of kids are just overwhelmed and over-teched, and I think we need to make some differences. And if parents want to know what to do, they can follow Wired Moms on Twitter, and they can become part of my cyber army. We can make a difference together.
The Cyber Army. Perry Aftab, the general in the Cyber Army. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Well, police in Western Massachusetts are investigating an apparent suicide by a teenage girl and the role cyberbullying may have played. Our Yunji Denise has more on the death that has shocked one small town.
At South Hadley High School, Phoebe Prince stood out. The 15-year-old freshman had recently moved to Western Massachusetts from Ireland and had a tough time adjusting.
There was a lot of bullying. A lot of people just would always taunt and tease her, just call her names.
That teasing went digital. According to a letter the school principal sent to parents, students harassed Prince through texting and Facebook, so much so that she took her own life. Students held a vigil the night after she died. Several tribute pages for Phoebe Prince have popped up on Facebook. Most of the messages are positive, but others were so cruel they had to be taken down. Police are investigating if bullying really is to blame in this case. In 2006, Megan Meyer, a high school freshman in Missouri, hung herself after a neighbor's mother, posing as a teen boy, harassed her on MySpace. Experts say cyberbullying is far too common.
A lot of these teens go back and read the taunts. They read the messages. They see what others are saying. And often, cyberbullying will lead to cyber mob behavior.
A friend of Phoebe Prince posted this YouTube video showing the smiling teenager. Tomorrow night, the school will hold a bullying task force meeting as they try to figure out exactly why this young girl chose death. For Good Morning America, Yunji Denise, ABC News.
And now the latest online craze. You know, we used to have pen pals, random strangers across the world that we wrote letters to. Well, now the internet plays host to a far less innocent version of this concept. It is called Chat Roulette. And our technology contributor, Becky Worley, checked it out. She joins us live, of course, via Skype at her home in Oakland, California. Good morning, Becky.
Good morning, Robin. Yeah, this is yet another one of those crazes that the internet seems to cough up from time to time. Chat roulette is sometimes interesting for adults, sometimes bizarre, and often sexually explicit. So for kids, it's just not safe. And here's the problem. It's easy to use, it's free, and there are no barriers to keep kids off the site.
Oh, hello. Chat Roulette is a new website that lets you talk to or just look at total strangers.
You can go in knowing full well that you'll never see these people again. You'll never know their names or anything about them.
Like this guy. He told me his name was Fraser, that he lived in Toronto, and what he liked about Chat Roulette.
The ability to have short, odd glimpses into people's lives and kind of channel surf through individuals is interesting.
Some people are just curious about these websites, that's why they visit them, but a lot of people use them as a substitute for genuine human interaction because they're not really successful at genuine human interaction.
But at issue of the tens of thousands of people on the site at any given time, many aren't there to chat.
Oh, some girls' legs.
We're seeing a lot of people exposing themselves and acting out sexually in these images.
Using the site, every 6th or 7th click, I saw something sexually inappropriate. Even worse, lots of teenagers using the service, and some kids that could have been as young as 11 or 12.
A lot of the adult sites require a credit card or require that you're 18 or older, which they evidence by you having a credit card. In this case, with it's free, there's no way that they're doing any kind of age screening, even by use of credit card.
The danger is that kids see that this sort of human interaction is somehow okay. As they go on it, they're going to encounter lots of bizarreness from adults. And kids, particularly teenagers, will model after that. They'll think, oh, this is what grown-ups do. It's cool and it's fun. And they engage in this thinking that this is somehow an appropriate activity.
And another reason for concern? While no names are displayed, any image from the site can be saved, and video chats can be recorded and spread throughout the internet.
Uh-oh, bathrobe.
So for parents trying to keep kids safe, this is just one more thing to be aware of.
I think the parents should make sure that they block the site. Parents can use filtering technology and make sure that the kids aren't going there, or monitoring technology to make sure if they are, you know what they're doing.
Ironically, the creator of this site is reported to be a 17-year-old Russian teen who says he got bored of chatting with people that he already knew, Robin.
All right. Thanks, Becky. Hopefully this will just be a passing fad. Thank you so much.
It's been hailed as a force for good, bringing together long-lost friends, facilitating community, even organising global Christian worship. But there's a darker side to Facebook and its 400 million followers, because while most use the site to link up with friends, there's an increasing number of serious criminals online looking for vulnerable individuals, particularly children. And the evidence of their activities, well, it's beginning to mount, from bullying to sexual assaults, even murder, as Nick Watt now reports.
This is where they found Ashley Hall's body. Her arms were bound, duct tape covered her mouth. This shy 17-year-old girl had been raped and murdered by someone she met on Facebook.
If you're an overweight girl who lives in England and doesn't have someone to love her, you will look for that. And you will grab at that, and the predators know that.
Peter Chapman, a 33-year-old convicted rapist, was arrested next day on an unrelated charge. He confessed to Ashley's murder.
Right, do you remember what you said to me in the cell?
I killed somebody last night. I need to tell somebody from CID where the body is.
Chapman had posed online as a handsome teenage boy, had befriended Ashley on Facebook and other sites, sent her flattering messages, arranged to meet. "My dad's on his way, babe," he told her by SMS. "He's here, babe," replied Ashley. Chapman raped and suffocated her in his car, then dumped her body in a field. The famously opinionated British press called for action. Britain's Child Exploitation and Online Protection Centre, or CEOPS, claimed very publicly that in just the first quarter of this year it received 253 complaints about Facebook. 39% of them suspected cases of kids being groomed online by pedophiles. Last December, the world's most popular social network site created a global safety advisory board to tackle such issues as online stalking and cyberbullying among its 400 million users. Serious crimes are rare, but when they happen, capture headlines. In January, Phoebe Prince killed herself after allegedly suffering relentless online attacks from other students at her Massachusetts high school.
Anthony Stansel goes to court to face charges that carry a sentence of 300 years in prison.
In February, a Wisconsin teenager was sentenced to 15 years in prison for posing as a girl on Facebook, tricking male classmates into sending him nude photos of themselves, then blackmailing them to have sex with him.
The smiling face of Vanessa George.
Last year, a British nursery worker pled guilty to photographing horrific acts of abuse she carried out on children in her care. She would send the images to a man and woman she had met on Facebook and other social networking sites. Facebook has just launched a redesigned what they call Safety Centre. Now, I'm on my Facebook profile here, and I've got to admit, it's not the easiest thing to find. You've got to go all the way down to the bottom right, click Help Center, which takes you to another page with various options. Then on the far left, you click Safety, takes you again Here we are, welcome to the Safety Centre. Then one more click on Safety for Teens, which takes us into the advice page. Now, what British officials are asking Facebook to do is to put on every single page what they call a panic button. They want all of Britain's 23 million Facebook users to see this button, which can take them directly to advice similar to that now offered by Facebook, and also to contacts for local law enforcement. For kids, a safety net. For predators, perhaps a deterrent. Facebook said no.
We asked Facebook to take the button in the same way as Bebo and AOL, MSN and others had, and put it in their environment so that children could report to us when they were afraid in the online environment. They chose not to do that.
Ashley Hall's mother echoes that demand.
All the other sites have got it on, so why hasn't Facebook got it on?
Advice offered through the CEOPS button for kids includes, if someone online says something inappropriate, it is important for you to tell an adult you trust or report directly to us. It is vital that you stop the chat with them immediately. And their rule number 1 for a parent, if you understand the internet and understand what the risks are, there are a number of things you can do that will make your child safer online. Facebook wouldn't give us an interview, but emailed this statement. Facebook is a leader in online safety. Our experience affirms there is no single answer or silver bullet that makes the internet or Facebook safer.
Bottom line, it's making sure that the information users need to keep themselves safe is there and that they know when to reach out to law enforcement and get help.
Parry Aftab is an internet safety expert and advisor to Facebook. She believes Facebook is doing all it can. The rest, she says, is up to us and is, I suppose, offline.
It's not a matter of buttons or even internet safety information. We need to make sure that young people engage the most important filter we have, this one, the one between their ears.
The police who investigated Ashley Hall's murder agree.
Our message is, do not meet people that you've only met on social networking sites. But I'm also a realist. I know that people will still go on and do that. So there's preventative messages that you need to listen to. And that is, if you're going to meet someone, tell someone where you're going to meet them. Tell them who you're going to meet. And only meet them in very, very public places.
Sadly, an online panic button probably wouldn't have saved Ashley Hall. She didn't think she was in danger. She thought she was in love. I'm Nick Watt for Nightline in London.